What is going on, everybody? Happy Friday. I'm BobbyFi, back with my man, Eric Tabor. He is dressed to impress. He finished last night. And we're going to get a little quick rundown before we get into everything today on Draftkings. We're just going to get a little rundown on how he almost took down a big single entry last night, and just sort of talk about some of the strategy that we go through in general, and how little sometimes you need to do to try and win, especially single entry tournaments. So Sheets, why don't you take over and just let us know a little bit what you were thinking.
Okay, so first of all, full disclosure, like for those of you who watched yesterday, this was exactly the lineup that I was using all during the review. And I ended up playing a grand total of 10 lineups, I think, on FanDuel, right? And between all events, and this was one of them. And the theory I had that we didn't come to the answer was, I was asking, how many pivots do you really need to make, depending on the tournament or whatever. And when we were looking at this lineup, I noticed, I said, this looks really, really chalky, except the only thing that's missing is that it fades probably the second chalkiest guy on the slate. Now, it turns out that Tobias Harris was chalkier, but we don't know that. And I just figured, what is for this lineup, is fading AD enough to make it contrarian enough. Now, to be fair, I probably played of the 10 lineups on FanDuel, probably 8 of them did have AD in them. You know what I mean? So for people to say, wow, good job fading AD, it's not exactly like I faded AD. This happened to be the one where I faded him. You know what I mean? But we were talking about this type of thing yesterday, and what I wanted to bring up is I didn't really almost win. I mean, I was a full 11 points away. I needed Rondo to get another 11 points, and I was never going to win if he did, because if he were in for another 11 points, then AD would have been in also, and I would have ended up in 100th. Okay, because if you look at this is really fun. I was texting Bobby about this as it was going on. Is you see that I got 4th place. And underneath, now you can't quite see it because I have to just expand it. You see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people. If you go next, there's 6, 7, 8, 9. It just keeps going. There's 25 entries, literally 1 point below me, right? With AD in it. So I was right on the cusp of getting just swamped and coming in 40th. You know what I mean? But what's interesting is, again, so I was getting these good odds on all these dudes. So it was really, really funny. I mean, I was kind of mad at myself that I didn't see that Wiggins was out. So I wasn't able to switch on DK. But I got a little bit rewarded for it, because that Wiggins being out made it just a little more likely that this game would eventually blow out. And as I'm watching the game, I'm like, oh my God, this is staying close. And they just slaughtered him in the third quarter. And AD put up a point, just to end the quarter or something, that initially put all these guys past me. And then they took the point back, and then they swamped the ball below me. So all I really needed was AD to just not play in the 4th quarter, and this would hold. And it held. And what's interesting to me, Bobby, and I don't know, what was cool is that I was only tied with one other guy. I only had one duplicate here in a very chalky lineup. I see, and not to criticize other players, but these are really good players here, Third and Slong, Hoop, Empire Maker, K Cannon. I don't want to criticize these people and Chip Hoadley, and Mango. These people are all better than I am. But you want to talk about playing too chalky? I mean, how could you play a lineup that's going to be duplicated by 30 people? That's kind of rough, no?
Yeah, I mean, I'll tell you exactly what that is, though. That's these guys' cash game lineups. They have the same.
So that's what they did. They ended up just putting their cash game lineup in the single entry.
Yeah, you can see that by the ownership that it's definitely a cash game lineup.
Right. Okay.
Same one team together. So I know Hoop, for example, that's what he does. He just enters his cash game lineup. So
okay, that makes sense.
Mangone used to do that. Mangone won a big tournament once with his cash game lineup, and it is interesting to see how it's even possible, because there was only 4 games last night. I always encourage everybody to get pivot as much as possible, all that yada yada yada. But it does make sense from a lineup construction how in a single entry you could win with your type of lineup. Yep. I would also like to include that you would have 0 chance if you have nobody below 40% or whatever it is in a 1,000, 10,000.
Right. Well, let me finish. Let me talk about some of these others, because this is first of all, I would like to say that even though Rondo, I would say smashed, did fine. The winner of this single entry tournament, he didn't have him.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? He faded him.
Mm-hmm.
But then two other things I wanted to show you, like this is the slam. I ended up cashing like by like the hair of my whatever. But like if you look at the winner, like look at how little he had to do. You know what I mean? All he had to do, he faded Davis and played Randall, and he got a very generous 10%. You know what I mean? Like, and that was really it. And then it's so funny. We talked about during the course of the thing. I said, listen, Danilo Gallinari is never going to win me a GPP. Well, won this guy.
Absolutely. And it's funny because that was the only pivot, obviously, that you could have made with your lineup, keeping it basically intact. The interesting thing, though, is about the Randall. I had Randall in. I played 1.555, and it was looking like it was going to be cruising. But then I had the Davis Wiggins to close it out. That obviously didn't end up well on FanDuel, so that was a little bit of a shame. I feel like I had the opposite sort of tournament day. You had a successful day by being straight down the road, making the right plays. I went for the home run plays, and I nailed some of them. I mean, we were talking about on my dunk yesterday. I had Alex Len and Alf Payton in the same lineup, which were both excellent plays.
I wish I talked to you a little more about the Payton thing, because I was looking for something like a Payton, and I just didn't quite remember to get to him. You know what I mean?
I started looking at the upside versus ownership, and it just was hard for me to ignore. And it's funny, I wouldn't even thought he would be this high owned on FanDuel, but on Draftkings he was 1% owned. So yeah, I mean that was
our Alex Len play. Well, it worked out for the wrong reasons. Like I it's so funny. I went back and I always like looking at what we said and how we said it, our emphasis and stuff like that. And my logic for suggesting him wasn't exactly the reason why he did well. I mean, he happened to just do well. I was theorizing that maybe if Giles had like a bad game, that Len would get like all these extra minutes. Turned out Giles played pretty freaking well also.
I didn't think that was the reason necessarily. I thought that they would use his size to match up with Steven Adams. I said it on the other show, the Wise Guys show that I was on, and that was that, and also the fact that they just acquired him. I expected them to start working more into the rotation, and he's one of those guys where if he plays well, he can put up a double-double in like 15 minutes. So that's basically what was starting to happen. Anyway, we should get to tonight because it's a monster slate. But great, congrats, good night last night. We're going to make an even better one tonight, and we're going to win a bunch of money. So let's get into it.
All right. So, I mean, overall slate view, again, I don't have the overall slate view that I usually have because usually what I do is I plug in like one like lock-in value play or one lock-in play, but I don't really have them. So we're going to just kind of go through it, and we're going to go through kind of who we like and see if we can't figure out kind of an attack, you know? So like the first game I have, the Minnesota-Orlando game, again, it's an interesting kind of battle. It's on the one hand, you have Orlando where fantasy points go to die. And on the other hand, you have a Minnesota team where fantasy points are just kind of born, you know? So they did put up a 234-point total for this game. So I guess they're erring on the side of offense as far as that kind of battle goes. But as far as who I like and like projections and stuff and all that kind of thing, nobody really stands out too much for me. Either on the Minnesota side or the Orlando side. Like Vooch would be my favorite guy, I guess, in this game if nothing better comes up. But the guy who keeps on showing up, and again, I brought him up the other day. I'm like, why is this guy popping? And you said, oh, he's the guy I like from Orlando. And he actually ended up having a pretty decent game, was this James Ennis. And he still looks to be like kind of an okay $3,700 guy. So if there's no other 3,700 guys like that and we need them, I guess I'll just ask you if you still like a guy like this, especially in a Minnesota matchup, which you always seem to attack. But aside from that, I don't think the game is particularly exciting.
Yeah, it's weird because you would like to attack this total. Obviously, it's a huge bump for Orlando, more so than Minnesota, obviously. But the James Ennis thing, my plan currently is to put a bunch of these guys like that in my lineups, and then when we inevitably hear about news that's breaking, there hopefully find some better value than that, because I don't love the idea of playing him on a 10-game slate, even in a good matchup. But right now, where we're slightly starved for value, I definitely have some interest at the moment. I think Vooch is totally fine. I think he's totally in play even at 9,200. Look, we talked a little bit about it yesterday with Aaron Gordon. This is becoming a real trend here. I don't know if I'll really get to him at 8.2, but I don't think he's a bad play. It's a perfect matchup for him. Let's put it that way. And he's just crushing right. He's doing what we're like, why doesn't Aaron Gordon do this all the time? And now he's going nuts. I mean, the way I would treat Orlando in this game, though, is I probably will, early before we get more information, which we're going to have information throughout the day. I'm going to treat Aaron Gordon like I'm going to treat this game like you need to get about 10% of each of the guys for Orlando, because I do expect at least one or two to have a big game against Minnesota. But I don't want any more than like 10% of any of you guys. So it's kind of a weird situation. And on the Minnesota side, it's only Wancho. And I mean, look, if I build 150 lineups, maybe I'd play Naz Reid. Maybe I'd play James Johnson, but mostly it's going to be just a little bit of Beasley and a little bit of Wancho for me. Just
really,
betting.
Wancho, you like him, huh?
I think he's fine. I don't think he's an incredible play. We don't have great value. I think he's a guy with, realistic 35 fantasy point upside, and but one that he hits pretty often. And at 4,800, I think he's okay. I'm not like excited about it though.
Yeah.
It's a bunch of Deaners. It's Deaners all over the place. It's 10%ers at best. And you'll see why as we go through this slate, because even we could pass on that game. And also, like, that extra half hour might make a difference tonight. You know what I mean? We've found a lot of information after lock recently, even on 4-game slates. So skipping this first game might actually just be beneficial overall.
Yeah. So the next game we get to is, again, there's always possibility that could be some really big news in this game. They're still listing Trae Young as questionable with these flu-like symptoms. I find it hard to believe that he sits, though, considering he's a little further along, you know what I mean? And he played in the last game. But again, it is just something to monitor, just because of the impact of a possible sitting like him. You just have to keep it in the back of your head. You know what I mean? Like, I know it says, he's questionable. He played the last time. So you can operate under the assumption he plays. But if he gets ruled out, you just have to be at least mentally prepared for that possibility. Just because of the impact him being out would cause. But for the purposes of this discussion, I'm going to presume that he's in. And with that said, I think he's just an awesome player. He's, he's just going to be that guy, unfortunately, that just is just always in play until he's I don't know, some price where he's not in play. I don't know what that number is, but he's just always going to be in play. And now he's in a situation where it's also there's very little blowout risk, so his minutes seem somewhat secure also. So at 10-5, I just think he's a very, very strong play. Other guys on Atlanta, just Collins, I guess, is fine. Ooh, so Fernando at 3,400 against the Nets. In a slate, as you said, maybe starved for value. Maybe he'd be somebody I would throw in my, James Ennis 3,400. You know what I mean? Like my sub 4K list of players. On Brooklyn, same shit. You have Dinwiddie and LeVert. LeVert, man, they're pushing him up there though. 8,300. I think I might have to pass. I mean, it's certainly a tremendous matchup and all that stuff, and he's just playing out of his freaking mind. But I don't know if I'm going to get there at 8,300. We'll see the rest of the slate, but I guess he's fine. We could try again with Jared Allen. Why not? At 5,100. Dinwiddie, I guess, is just fine. All these same Nets guys are just fine. I think it could be one of those stacky type games. Like, you could play Trae Young and try to pick your two favorite Nets. Like, you could play one of the two guards, either Dinwiddie or LeVert, and one of the two wings, maybe Harris or Prince, throwing Allen in and just hope the game goes off. But like as one-offs or something like that, none of them really, really intrigue me.
Yeah, at first glance, one of my favorite plays in the entire slate is Taurean Prince.
This is at Atlanta too, right? Okay.
Yeah, he's played his last time at Atlanta. He put up 42 fantasy points, averaging 33, 35 against them, 34. I don't know, 34 and a half against them this year. In 3 matchups. It's not, in addition to being a great matchup for pace and everything like that, you do get the little narrative of him going back to Atlanta, obviously, where he's probably going to – that was a game with Kyrie too, I believe. I just feel like he gets there so much of the time here, and he's one of the guys who I just feel like I can feel safe about and has upside at, 40+% of my lineups. Like, he had a lousy game the other day against Washington. He hasn't been good lately. I still like the spot for him. I think he's a better player than he's shown, and I want to get ahead of the curve. So I really like him a lot. Like, I've got him in a good portion of lineups right now. I also think Jared Allen's a terrific play. Jared Allen fouled out the other night, which sort of allowed DeAndre Jordan to have that big game against Washington. He fouled out in 18 minutes. Assuming he doesn't do that again, this is a really good matchup, and he's 5,100. So I really like both those guys in premium matchups, and I love Trey, assuming that he does play. I think the projections on him today will keep the ownership lower than it should be. I also think the projections are off because they're sort of factoring him in as questionable. So his projections might shoot up, which might open up his ownership a little bit. But I like Trey and I like John Collins with as many injuries they have in the front court. I know the price is not exciting, but it's, again, premium matchup to me. And the same goes for, throwing in a Huerter or a DeAndre Hunter. Maybe you can throw them in 10% of your match entering, not guys you want to prioritize. Same thing with Fernando, but certainly guys you can put on the list. But yeah, in the game overall, definitely Trey and Taurean Prince are my favorites. I'm okay with running back another shot on LeVert or Dinwiddie, but I don't feel great about it. And by the end of the slate, I feel probably I'll be elsewhere.
Yeah, I mean, like not to bury the lead or whatever, but I mean, I'm not going to be able to pay $8,300 for LeVert or $700 for Dinwiddie when Fox is $7,700 or something like that. Just, as an example. All right.
Well, we don't know. Fox, we don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I know. Just so let's go ahead, I guess. Man, poor Charlotte. I feel really bad for Charlotte. They're gonna get just blitzed tonight. Oh my God. Yeah. So Charlotte at Toronto. I don't know, man. Let's talk about it. So on the Charlotte side, just let individual plays go. Devontae Graham, 6,400. He's not been very aggressive in general. He did have that day off, and he came back with an okay game against the freaking Knicks. But this is Toronto. Yeah, 6,400 is as cheap as he's been in a while, but I think for good reason. And plus the minutes downside. I mean, they're projected for 34 minutes. I mean, really? I don't know. I mean, yeah, he definitely does get minutes a lot, but this game could be over. I don't know, man. This is a rough one to take anybody from Charlotte. I guess another cheap guy is Hernan Gomez. He's 3,100, and I guess that's all I have to say about that. he's 3,100, can play 18 to 20 minutes, and if you need,
we have to hear about Zeller first. We can't do anything unless
sure.
confirmed out. Yeah,
sure. I mean, if Zeller's in, then that that doesn't exist. But I think that if Zeller's out, I think that $3,100 Hernan Gomez would be somebody that you could play. And again, just as kind of like a hashtag good basketball player play, which we're going to bring up literally every single slate, I think, about both these guys, not to steal your thunder, but I presume that we're just going to reiterate the fact that PJ Washington and Miles Bridges are both just very active, good players. And, they're always just kind of in play, if that makes any sense. On Toronto, I mean, buyer beware. I mean, again, I don't like to – okay, let's look at it another way. I don't like to predict blowouts, but there was someone like kind of not trolling, but whatever, asking me, why do you not think that AD is a lock yesterday? And I said it during the freaking video. I said the point is that based on his median projection, he looks really, really strong. But the problem is median projection was based on minutes projections of 35 minutes, which I really thought only had downside from there. I mean, was he going to get 25 minutes? Probably not. But I thought there was a better chance of him getting 25 than 45. So that's why I thought that he wasn't a quote-unquote lock. So when you look at these Toronto guys like Siakam and Van Vliet, whatever, if you think they have good median projections, which, I mean, I guess they're okay. But, I mean, hell, they're projected for 35 minutes, and this game, they could play 25. I just don't think there's any upside from the minutes there. So I just don't think I'm going to play these guys. The one thing you have to look for is Serge Ibaka. I think he might be legitimately questionable. I'm not sure. If he is out, then, I mean, you get a full-scale Chris Boucher chalk night, I think. Or either him or Hollis Jefferson or both.
I don't think Ibaka is really questionable. I mean,
you don't think so? Okay.
Because he was questionable 2 days ago with an illness. And by the way, Trey was just announced in.
Okay.
And I mean, if he's questionable, it would be really weird to play with an illness 2 days ago and then be out with the same illness 2 days later. I've just never heard of that.
Right.
Also, he's going to be the chalkiest player on the slate.
But Serge has knee soreness, so.
But that's weird because I've got him as questionable illness. So, but
okay,
interesting.
Okay,
I mean,
but if in fact he's out,
chalky, yeah.
I mean, if in fact he's out, then it's. I mean, this is a perfect situation where if they announce Hollis Jefferson starting and Boucher off the bench, Boucher's just like a lock in all these blowout games. You know what I mean? Like he's gonna get 40 freaking points for sure. So I would definitely take a look at that. But aside from that, I mean, I don't know, man. I don't think I'm going to attack this game.
Yeah, I agree with you about, like, obviously Boucher if he's out, but I mean, I can't not have exposure to Serge Ibaka at 5.9. Like,
okay,
it just, even in a blowout, look, even in these other blowouts, some of them you put up 30 set. Like, I'm going to be below the field probably, but the field is going to be incredibly high on him. And
he's going to be one of the chocolate
I think
guys?
he's the most popular player on the slate. I really do. I'm not sure yet. But as of right now, when I'm looking at first projections.
That's true. Yeah, I saw that. I made a list of like the top 6 or 7 guys. He's one of them. I keep forgetting.
Yeah. And I think that Van Vliet's going to be incredibly popular too. Just at 6.5, it's just really cheap for him. The matchup is good for these guys, even though I don't worry about Charlotte playing. It doesn't matter. They can't slow them. Toronto will play fast at home. It's just what they do. Ibaka and Van Vliet, I just don't love this. And then if you were like Cody Martin because of the minutes, or Bridges or Washington, but again, I'm not like, these are not ringing endorsements. I do like the price on Bridges and feel like maybe even in a blowout he could get there, but it does feel hard to think this game's going to stay close. It's a big slate. It's just hard for me to get behind and heavily investing in this game.
Yeah, they like both those guys, by the way, both those Martins. Cody and the other one. What's his name? Caleb?
But Caleb's only playing like 14, 15 minutes.
Yeah, except when the game's 86 to 50. I mean, I don't know.
It's a good point.
Yeah, I hope to not play this many people from this game. I really hope.
Yeah, let's just go. Good.
And I hope Serge plays, because if he doesn't play and this is what happened to me a few weeks ago. I ended up playing like an 85% on Boucher, like 85% myself, and I was not happy about it. But it's okay.
Yeah, I mean, if he's out, it does change things quite a bit.
Yeah. All right. So OKC at Milwaukee. What ended up happening in the OKC hang on in that game? That was a really good game.
Yesterday, yeah, they did.
They did. That's right. Oh, that's right. They played Sacramento. That's right.
Yeah.
So I think this game can be a problem also. But then, you say that for all the Milwaukee games.
Okay, let's start before you say that. I think that what did OKC won, like 13 straight on the road or something? And basically
is that true?
I don't think they haven't covered all season on the road or something ridiculous like that. I don't know what the exact stats are. I'll talk about it more in the BetQL show at 4 Eastern, little plug there. But it does seem a little bit like weird to look at OKC ever as a double-digit underdog, just with how competitive they are. And I don't think they've lost like badly all year. They're always there. So I just want to throw that out there. Again, it is Milwaukee, but
you were talking about maybe getting me on the BetQL show, man. I don't know if they could take it. I mean, because my analysis of games like this would be like, wow, it seems like OKC is like won 13 in a row on the road, and they're like 15-1 against the spread. So give me all the Milwaukee.
Well, that's what happened the last time, though. That's what everybody was doing. All the bet experts said to do the same thing when they were playing the Pelicans. Take the Pelicans, take the Pelicans, take the Pelicans.
Oh, really?
They went to New Orleans and just smashed the Pelicans.
Yeah.
And just to get their next one. I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there that I don't think this is
well, you know what? All the better for Giannis then. Okay,
so here Chris Paul is out, by the way. That's going to be the one thing. What if Chris Paul's out? That's what I'm waiting on.
So let's talk on the Milwaukee. And again, I honestly believe, and I believe this. I believe that Giannis is the play every single slate until further notice. Because again, what's that?
Over Luka?
Yeah, I do.
He's forward eligible. That's one thing.
It's not even just that. It's just as though the way that they project his minutes, they like to keep him back, right? So they always project his minutes like right around like 30, right? Yeah. So it's one of those weird. It's like hard to fade him, because if they play well enough that he doesn't go off in those 30 minutes, all that means is that you're probably going to get another 4 minutes of him. It's really, really odd. It's a really odd math thing, and it's just very difficult to fade unless you have other, good plays. You know what I mean? So I do think that he's just going to be in. He's just going to have to be in 50% of my lineups. I just think he has to be. So I'll take what you said. You think Oklahoma City is like better than people think. Good. Give me more than 30 minutes. Give me 33 minutes. The guy's freaking insane. So I think Giannis, I'm going to play him, and I'm not playing anybody else on Milwaukee. On Oklahoma City, like you said, if Paul is out, is he like legitimately questionable?
There are Paul and Adams. These are guys who don't always play back-to-backs, and it is a back-to-back road in Milwaukee. They might just, I mean, you're right. So that would be the way that Milwaukee just crushes tonight, too, is that they could, I mean, Muscala, they already announced, was back tonight, which just gives me a feeling like maybe Adams sits. I don't know. Because we have a 20-minute projection on Muscala, and I cannot explain to you why that would be.
Yeah, the one I'm looking at has 0. So
I'm looking at 2 different ones with 20 minutes projected. 20 and 19.
Really? Okay. Yeah. Okay.
I don't know what that is.
What do they have Noel?
18.
Same with me. And Adams 28?
Adams 32.
Yeah, so I don't know who's
and 29.
Whose minutes that Muscala is taking in the model you're looking at that you're giving me 0.
That's what doesn't make sense to me. So
how about Dort? How much you have for Dort?
24.
The same with me. And Nader?
20.
I have 16. Maybe that's something. No.
Weird.
I don't know. I don't know if this adds. All right, we'll see. I know why. I have Gallinari in. Okay.
Oh, that's what his Gallinari is the one who's going to sit out. My bad. No.
Yes.
Gallinari is going to be the one who sits out. Yes, there we go. Okay, now that makes sense.
We figured that out. There you go.
Hey, it's early still for us.
Okay. So Gallinari, that's such a great troll. He's like I won some of the GPP. Now I'm going to sit. That's awesome. Now where did I see that? I mean, I don't see him say any notation on Draftkings, but there was some place that I saw where he just said he might be doubtful.
I don't know if he's played a back-to-back this whole year yet. So.
Okay.
Cold over here, guys. But I don't know. Or actually, I think he might have played 1 or 2. But I'm going to go with that. We maybe think he's out, which that does make some of these other guys a little bit stronger plays. But it is a worrisome game, definitely.
I actually don't even think Danilo being in or out is going to affect how close this game is. I don't know why I think that.
Player, man. He's like one of the sneaky underrated basketball players. He's a really good basketball player.
So who gets these minutes if he's out? Yeah.
Schroeder would be the answer, but the problem is he played 32 minutes last night, back-to-back, 3 and 4, 5 and 7. 4 and 6 days. That's a lot of games. So we'll see who else is in or out, but I do like Schroeder quite a bit at first glance just because of that. The problem is he's a rim attacker, and I don't really love to do that against Milwaukee, although I'd rather take the 3-point shooters, but not really a lot of choices here.
What about Muscala at 3K?
Yeah, I think he's interesting. I would feel better if one of Adams or Noel or something, but he's definitely interesting. I don't think it's going to be a guy I light up with unless I hear one of Adams or Noel. I mean, you can speculate that Adams' minutes are going to be limited a little bit more. Strangely, as a 32-minute projection, he only played 27 last night. Adams will play, but I don't know if he's going to play more than 28 minutes, which could give some more to Muscala or Noel.
Yeah. Okay.
So wait, you said Giannis, and yeah, it's only Giannis for me on the other side. But again, I prefer Luka by quite a bit all the time. Well, only while he's 10-3 and Giannis is 11-6. The only thing Giannis has better over him is that possession.
You think Luka's going to play?
Why wouldn't he?
I don't know. He looked like he had a lot of stress in the last game.
He still put up fantasy points. They're trying to win games.
I know. He had a real. Let me just see what it says. I mean, there's.
There's definitely a chance he might not, but I'm always going to assume those guys are playing. As long as we have them projected in lineups, and everywhere I'm looking has them in.
He apparently sprained his left thumb during Wednesday's win, although he still finished with the triple-double. He'll likely test the issue during his pregame activities.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll get to him.
Makes him an even better play to me. So.
Boy, as a matter of fact, we should have gotten to him already. I kind of skipped over that game for some reason.
That's all right. Same thing. It's 8 at the same time.
Okay. So again, just to summarize OKC for a second. So we do have to watch for Gallinari. If Schroeder, so if Gallinari is out, is Schroeder just like a tremendous play? Is he going to be chalky as a result?
He'll have some ownership, but he's not going to be – no, they're not tremendous. It's hard to ever use a team with a double-digit spread unless the guy's like minimum cost is a tremendous play. I don't know, how that would happen.
Right. Okay. All right, so
But
let's go
the
back.
other guys are fine too, by the way. I mean, you could make a sneaky game stack of this game. Well, it really would just be Giannis on one side and then playing two of the guards on the other side. If the game stays close, that should be where all the production comes from, and it's going to be a fast-paced game, which would make me lean like if I was going to lean, I would lean and Schroeder, maybe with one of those guys with Noel or Muscala if we think he's going to get more minutes. But I do think you can play a few of these guys because the pace of play is going to be so high.
Okay, so let's go back to Dallas, Miami. So if you don't want to play Giannis, and I don't think you can play Luka and Giannis unless like more value opens up than
FanDuel probably you can, but yeah, probably not draft.
But you could Dallas, Miami is easy breezy. I mean, you could play Luka and Butler together, and rock the house. You know what I mean? Like, they both look like very good plays individually. So to put one against the other, I think is just a tremendous idea. It's a 230-point total with a small spread, and yeah, I mean that seems like kind of the easy yet very effective way to play this game. I do have to say, I'll give you a lot of credit, and he's going to continue until they make some change in his projections. He's going to always project to be bad value for like a while, but you picked up on this earlier than most people. But although he doesn't look like, I mean, Kristaps has been freaking murdering it, man. I mean, he's with Luka, without Luka, it doesn't freaking matter. Like you were on this early that he's like back to himself, and he does not look like a really good play from a projections perspective for like in the meanwhile, he's been smashing every game, And the reason for that, by the way, for those of you who don't realize, is a lot of these projection systems, they I don't say overweight, but they don't overweight the recent performance as much as they should in some cases. They go way back, and so they factor in like some results that are not really reflective of their current form. So that when you have guys like that either came off injuries or there's kind of just slow to recover, they can end up being looking like kind of shitty plays on projection systems for like a while they continue to smash. Like use LeVert as an example, you know what I mean? And Luka and Kristaps as another great example, and even like Aaron Gordon, you know what I mean? Like they continue to keep moving his price, but it hasn't mattered because he's just playing that much better than the average of the projection system, what they're factoring in. So, I mean, I don't think I'm going to do it tonight, but I certainly wouldn't be surprised again if I fade him and he kills it again. But for now, it's just going to be Luka and Butler.
Yeah, I really I appreciate you pointing that out about Porzingis because he's a guy who I just mind when I look at tonight and I see that no one's going to play him again. It's not a good matchup. But one thing is Luka, when he plays, they dictate pace for Dallas. Like they're going to play with pace. So this is going to be a huge bump for Miami, which I like Luka, but I don't mind if you want to play Porzingis with or in instead. I mean, I'm telling you, these guys in tough games, if you think the games are going to stay close, these guys are going to be both in the 50-plus almost every time. I really believe this. So if you think this game's going to stay close, which it should, and I would love to run it back. I definitely give Butler the edge, but I think you should be looking at potentially playing Bam because he should just destroy this front line. No one's going to play him at 8,800. Really, it's only a 900 price difference between him and Butler. And I think Butler's the better play, don't get me wrong. But again, you got a guy who takes up a guard spot versus Bam who doesn't. And can Bam get 60 or 70 with or without Butler in there? Absolutely. In this kind of a matchup, he can go nuts. So maybe like if you really want to get a really, really crazy low own thing, like you could play, 3 out of the 4 of those guys in some sort of order. And I think you have a pretty low owned combination. Butler's going to be really, really chalky, but no one's going to play Porzingis, Bam, and then even Luka's going to be well under owned in my opinion tonight. So I like those guys. Luka and Butler the best, but definitely like Bam as a tournament play, and definitely like Porzingis as well.
Yeah, so a very smart man said in the last 24 hours that when you're thinking about game stacks, you really shouldn't think about number of players, but salary allocation. And so that's what's happening. If you take Butler and Bam, you are spending, 17,000 of your salary on this. So you are in a game stack, like it or not. Yep. But you got Luka on the other side, and it's tough match. I mean, it's not the easiest matchup in the world, but Dallas can play a little bit of defense also. But I can't avoid at least getting something with Luka and Butler in the same lineup.
I must have been sick today when Dallas started playing defense. I didn't know they could play any defense.
You were, because who plays really good defense? Like the second unit. The second unit is really good.
Yeah, Dorian Finney-Smith is like the guy who stands out in my head. But no, I mean, yeah, sure, but they're still the highest scoring team. You look at the bump that Miami's getting. Miami, when do you see Miami with a 116 total? Never.
Okay. Speaking of teams that don't play defense, we're going to get to a bunch of them here. Well, I shouldn't say that. I mean, Cleveland and New Orleans. See, I want to talk about New Orleans for a minute. So again, I don't want to talk too much basketball, especially on a 1,000-game slate. But why does New Orleans give up so many? I wouldn't say so many points. I guess they just play fast because
they
have some good defenders on that team.
They have tons of good defenders. They play so fast.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the reason why they play like lightning, and that's what happens.
All right. So Cleveland. I am presuming Drummond out for the purposes of this discussion, I guess.
Yeah.
If in fact he's out, it's back to the other dudes, man. I love. Even Nance has a shot, and the guy I played Tristan Thompson again. These guys are priced up a little bit, and it's not like these guys are just great plays or anything like that. There's certainly a certain amount of blowout risk involved in this game too. I mean, Cleveland is pretty crappy, but it's a fast matchup. They project kind of okay. They're not bad, and the other Cleveland guys aren't bad either. The guards, right? The Sexton, Garland, and they priced him up to 4,800. Porter. But Porter can get in there Porter could definitely get in there in a fast-paced matchup.
It's an awesome matchup for Porter.
What's that?
Awesome matchup for Porter, for sure.
It's also an awesome matchup for the Pelicans to get like 1,000 steals off of him also. He's a turnover machine. So all those Cleveland guys I think are fine. As a matter, this could be kind of a funny game stack, actually. Like if you want to – boy, this is like a 240 total of, like you said, a team that plays fast. And Cleveland's certainly, they're 12-point underdogs, so it doesn't look promising. But what if it is? You know what I mean? Like, what if they do get it going? So let me see if you can find something on New Orleans that you can count on. And, oh, man. Zion, Ingram, Drew, Lonzo. You just have to pick one of these, I guess, or a couple of them. But they all look fine, so maybe I'll do it. Maybe I'll try a little Cleveland with maybe even Alonzo with one of those guys, Lonzo, Zion, Ingram. Not Zion and Ingram. Probably wouldn't play both of those. Lonzo, Ingram, Lonzo, Zion. Maybe a Drew with a Zion. Maybe two of those four together with a couple of Clevelands. Boy, that's going to be rough on a 100-game slate to get that home. But I don't know, man. This could be interesting.
Yeah, this is the first, especially on FanDuel, this is the first stack I built of any game.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, I think it has stack and pray written all over it. Like, you have to pray that the game stays close, obviously. However, I will point out plays that even if it doesn't stay close, Porter, Garland, and Larry Nance would all do fine in a blowout, in my opinion. So I'm okay with all those guys in blowout run. As it stands, though, you could play them also in a potentially tight game. I like Kevin Love. I think he's going to be completely unowned on Draftkings. People are going to play him on FanDuel where he's basically free.
What's he on FanDuel?
6.2.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and then on I love Zion tonight. I think he puts up between 40 and 60, and don't really feel too worried about him getting less than 40, and feel pretty good about him getting over 45. It's a good matchup. Regardless of what they say, Cleveland, it won't matter. This game is going to play lightning quick, lightning fast. He'll lead them up down low like he's been doing all season. If they try and put Tristan Thompson on him, they'll be able to get too much of a head of steam going. They won't be able to match up with him. I can't even find a guy who can come close to him with them. Let
me play devil's advocate for just a second. So I don't know if he's going to get ownership or whatever, but I heard a take, and this is like a couple of weeks ago, whatever. So I haven't really followed up on it. That Zion really doesn't have the ceiling that people think.
Just complete. Just guys who don't know what they're talking about. I'm sorry, who say stuff like that. I mean, first of all, he put up 50. He's put up 40 or more in 4 of his last 5, and he put up 50 in one of those. 50s. First of all, I would take 50. Wouldn't we take 50 at 8K? In those matchups, you have the blowout against the Warriors, the Lakers. Like that's literally the toughest possible matchup for him would be the Lakers. Portland, did they blow him out? I think they did blow him out. That's why he only played 29 minutes. And then OKC. These are all tough matchups. This is not. This is an easy matchup for him. And I don't know. I personally, I like him. I'm going to be all over Zion.
I do like the fact, again, the similar analysis to AD, but kind of the reverse. Like what I'm looking at is only projecting for 30 minutes. And so I guess there's probably a little more upside. I'd say it's pretty good.
Yeah, he can play 34 minutes for sure.
Yeah, I guess so. But I don't think he's ever played 34 minutes.
He just played 33. I mean, look, he's always going to be breaking records every time he plays. I mean,
right.
Anyway, I just think that people are off with the thinking that he doesn't have that. And I also want to point out that, this guy's a phenomenal rebounder and still somehow has only hit double-digit rebounds twice. So that's a big thing. I mean, that little double-double bonus, that those extra rebounds he gets, that's what separates him, those 40s from 50s, those 50s from 60s. And that's not going to last forever. This guy's going to be average a double-double very soon. It just hasn't happened yet. And it's like we were talking about getting ahead of the thing on Aaron Gordon. We keep waiting for it to happen. Zion, how does he hurt you? Like, he just never gets less than, never gets a number unless they blow somebody out that you're not going to be happy with or you're not going to be okay with. And then he's got the upside to do some more. And people who don't think he's got upside, just wait. He'll put up a 70 fantasy point game before the season's over. I promise you that.
All right. Sounds good to me. Hopefully I have him. All right. Moving on, Sacramento, Memphis. Again, you have to really watch for De'Aaron Fox. What was his back spasms yesterday?
Yeah.
So he was when in fact was he ruled out, by the way, just for my own edification? Was it after lock? But
I'm trying to. I honestly can't remember.
It doesn't matter. Okay. So I will start with this. If he plays, I think he's awesome. I think Memphis is going to be a really, really fast game, and I think that De'Aaron Fox is going to be in a tremendous position. And he looks like a really, really excellent play. If he doesn't play, then we're back into Corey Joseph land. I mean, we just are. I mean, he's going to start again. He had a good game yesterday, and as a result, he's going to start again. So, if in fact Fox doesn't play, so it's going to be tough to I would say not. It's going to be tough to fade him, but he's certainly going to be in play again at 3,500. But again, if Fox plays, I like him a lot. The other guys, I tell you, Hield was a little frustrating yesterday. But I will also say this, that the person who won that single entry tournament that we talked about, they won it with Hield with 24 fantasy points. So that's really all you needed from yesterday. You're not going to get away with that tonight. I mean, you're not going to get away with winning anything with Hield with 24 tonight. But and I was also a little bit surprised, not surprised, I guess I should have known. I really thought that Hield would end up with either more minutes or just a better shot at it than with Fox out for whatever reason. But I guess they just
were playing well. Not a whole lot, to analyze. I watched that game. The other guys were just playing well, playing better.
So I guess you could try. Again, if Fox is in, I like him, and then you could take your pick honestly between Bjelica, Bogdan, Hield, those guys. I'm not going to go back to Alex Len today, and I'm not going to play Harry Giles. I did actually fiddle around. I did play a lineup with Harrison Barnes yesterday. It didn't work out, but
he put up 30 points.
No, it didn't work out in general for me. I think I had that with in one of my Wiggins lineups or something like that. I'm just saying, like it did happen. But yeah, I mean, his minutes are so freaking good that he's always kind of in play. On Memphis, boy, all four of these not main guys. I don't know what consider main guys, but Moran looks pretty freaking good here at 6,600. Boy, oh boy. And then Dylan Brooks again, even though they moved him up in price. I don't know why I think this game is going to be such a fast game. Maybe I'm hallucinating, but
no, I think if Fox plays, I think you're right.
Yeah, and then even Melton at 4,400 if you want to go that route. And I mean, Valanciunas is literally always in play in every GPP. So I think you could play any of these four guys. Maybe I don't even need Melton. Maybe I'll play Morant and Brooks or Morant and Valanciunas or just Morant. And boy, this is going to be a tough slate because this is another freaking game I want to freaking go after. So I could have some fun with this game. I don't think I'm going to have a lot of fun, though, if Fox sits. I really don't think I'm going to get it right. I think I'm going to end up playing Joseph. I'm going to end up – it'll be the game he busts. You know, I'll play Joseph with Heald or Joseph with Bogdan or something like that. So I really do hope Fox plays so I don't have to make that decision.
Yeah, I don't have any problem with for me, I would give a slight edge to Bogdan if Fox doesn't play. He'd be my preferred guy, followed by Heald. I still like all of them, even if Fox does play. Actually, it's a good enough total, good enough pace. And you know, if they don't play, I'll have some Corey Joseph. I'm not going to necessarily lock him in, but he will obviously be in a number of my lineups, especially if we don't get other value. The Memphis side is. Look, I like Ja, but not like I'm like screaming and like thrilled to play him here. And I don't understand why the projections are all of a sudden so high on Dylan Brooks. Sure, he can do what that same thing, but it just is bizarre that he has one decent game and all of a sudden the projections like jump by 10 points on him. Excuse me, trying to get over this cold. It's not everybody else is just I'll have a little exposure to Valanciunas. Again, I might even have one lineup with Dylan Brooks or something. I don't really want to attack the Memphis side of this game. It's sure the game looks good, but I cannot find anybody who stands out as a screamingly great play. Ja's the one with upside. He's the one I'll take shots on, but even that, I mean, I realize about 75%, 85% of it's 80% of the time he busts. So just keep that in mind.
Yeah, and here's a thing that I'm going to work on one of these days, because this is something I think that, look, the good thing about there's being a lot of content out there, a lot of competitors, is they do try to like one up the other and try to improve their material, which I think is always good for competitions. It's good for the consumer in general. And one thing that's kind of like going around now is, like I said, this idea of how often a player beats his whatever you want to call it, is implied value or what you need to win a GPP or whatever. And I think that that's a decent start, but I think that equally important, if not more so, when you're playing these large field GPPs, is not even so much like 60% of the time he beats his 5.522x points or whatever, but I'd like to know like by how much he beats them. You know what I mean? Like I wouldn't mind if 80% of the time, just for as an example, if I knew Morant was going to bust 80% of the time, but the 20% of the time that he did smash, it was like a super smash. You know what I mean? Like if 80% of the time he would get 4x, but 20% of the time he would get 9x. You know what I mean? For me, that's different than a guy who 75% of the time gets like 6.3x. You know, so
yeah. Well, he never gets 9x, but he does get 7 quite a bit.
No, I know what you're saying. You know, I understand, but just the idea that you know how often a person reaches an actual threshold. I mean, again, like even within that construct, you would prefer the guys that have a chance to have the outlier. You know what I mean? I don't even know if Morant's that guy, but I'm just, again, he's just reminding me to, you know, just to keep that in mind. All right, so I agree with you, by the way, about the Dylan Brooks thing. I think that if you that playing too much Dylan Brooks does put you I don't want to say slave to projections. I'm kind of with you on that. There's some guys that projections just kind of just pick up and kind of a simple eye test will say, whoa, what the hell's going on?
Well, it's because he took 26 shots in the last game. By the way, he took 26 shots and only scored 29 fantasy points. That's really hard to do. If you take 26 shots, you should have 50 fantasy points, period. And that was against Houston. You know what I mean? It's not exactly the same thing. Houston, that's like playing, you know, Coors.
All right. Washington against Utah. Whoa. Oh, my God. So if you didn't like any of that other stuff, so Washington's at Utah, and Mike Conley is playing, and Bradley Beal is on the court. So Bradley Beal, I think, only has an upside in this game of maybe 80 points. I don't think he can get any more than that. Now, they're making you pay, man. They're putting you 9,700. But there's just no way he's going to be popular. There's just no way. I mean, he's projecting at a very
0% chance anybody plays him. Yes.
Yeah, and there's still some residual Utah defense narrative out there also.
It's not. Yeah, but go ahead.
Let me have it. Let me have it. I'll try it. I really, really will. And I'll try some Beal. I don't want to play anybody else. I just want to play the matchup-proof dude who's just getting there. He's just talking about smashing. So obliterating everything. Even the last game, he wasn't that great, but he still was just fine. And then on the Utah side, against Ole defense, can I get away with it? Can I play Conley? I'm going to try it. Conley and/or Mitchell. I don't know if I could play them both, but who knows? I almost even will play Bojan against my better judgment. Maybe not. Gobert, he
Revenge.
breaks my heart.
Bojan revenge.
Oh, no.
That's not in Washington, so it doesn't count.
Oh, no. Gobert, 7,800. He's got to smash somewhere first. I don't know if I can get there right now. He's certainly projecting to be just awesome. So I got to check ownership on him. Like, is he one of the top owned guys?
No, but he'll have ownership.
Yeah. And then, hey, let's do it, man. You give me a fast-paced matchup, I will be more than happy to take a shot with some Jordan Clarkson here just for fun, especially in game stacks. And so speaking of game stacks, I mean, Beal is like the entire side of the Washington game stack. And I'm going to try it, man. I'm going to try some Beal with a couple of shuffles with these guys. I think I'm going to be playing some lineups tonight. That kind of sucks. But I always feel better when I don't play as many, but I don't think I can get away with playing a lot tonight because there's just so many ways I want to go.
Yeah. Yeah, this is a tricky one for me because it's easy to say just stay away, and that's fine. But I think that Beal with Conley and Gobert on the other side, 0% chance I don't have that in at least a couple lineups.
Right.
It's look, my feelings about Utah. They surrendered the biggest games of anybody because of even when they were good defensively, that happened with them. But they're not now, and they will play up at pace. And the weird part about this game is Mike Conley is going to be one of the highest owned players on the slate.
Oh, is that right?
This environment is not great for him.
Screw him. I mean, really? I was expecting him to have some start last game.
The environment's not great, but the situation is great. Like, it's hard to say. Like, I wouldn't usually want him in an up and down speed fest, but at the same time, they give up so many threes. They're bad at guarding screen and roll. Assuming that he's still starting, I'm still going to play. I'm going to be near the field, even though it's high.
Why is he going to start again?
He's been starting.
He did start. I keep forgetting that it wasn't him that got subbed out for. Right. When I said O'Neal was starting, I thought that he was subbing for Conley. He replaced Ingles. Okay, that's right.
Which, by the way, all of that does is hurt Jordan Clarkson, in my opinion.
Yeah, I didn't even think of that.
I'm not as into Clarkson. I'm not playing him on this slate, too big a slate. Everybody else I have sprinkles of, including the one, weird guy I like to throw in if I'm going to do a little stack that I think I can throw into one, would be Royce O'Neal. Just because he doesn't need to do anything but get steals, blocks, rebounds, a few finishes at the rim, and a couple putbacks. And he's there. I don't love it. I'm just throwing it out there that in a stack with those other guys, I wouldn't mind seeing that too. But mostly it's Gobert. It's Gobert, Beal, and Conley. But again, you're talking about you don't want to get more than 15% maximum in this game stack, in my opinion.
Freaking Gobert. I'm looking at this game log. Maybe I shouldn't even look. I'm getting rid of this game log. I'm just not even going to look. They're playing Washington. I'm not going to look. All right. Okay. So there's another game I want to attack. So let's go on. Detroit, Phoenix. I guess. Is Oubre out again? I guess so. Yes.
Yeah, he should be out.
So wow. So these guys are really popular tonight. I did look at the ownership, and both Ayton and Booker are very popular tonight. I wasn't expecting that. I don't know why I wasn't expecting it, but I guess I just wasn't. And they're projecting really, really strong. But I mean, are they mandatory? I mean, I guess it's a rhetorical question. I mean, it's not like Detroit plays these fast games or anything like that. I guess they're just not that good. I guess that's why they're projecting well with Rubio off the court. Not Rubio off the court, with Oubre off the court. I guess they're good plays. I don't know if I'm going to play them at that high ownership if that's that's what I'm going to get. But I mean, they certainly look fine. I get if I played them, I'd probably have to try to do something on the other side, like Christian Wood or something like that. But even him, I'm looking at these ownerships.
Christian Wood's chalk, yeah.
All these guys are chalk. I guess John Henson, he's popping. I guess he's going to be really popular. Is that what I missed? I mean, this is like the most popular game on the slate. After all these other games with all these big totals, you're going to have Detroit with the most popular game on the slate. Is that really what's going to happen?
I mean, I don't really have a problem with it. Like, it's not like we talked about any games that we really liked. We really didn't like all these other games. Like, that's the truth. The only ones that you'd like are like the Sacramento, Memphis, and then like you're like, who do I even play? That's why these guys are going to be owned. Like, they're just their projections make some sense. Yeah. Detroit's awesome defensively, but I don't think Detroit guys will get as much. I think that's all off. Even Wood, who I expected to have some ownership, I don't think he'll necessarily end up in the 30s.
Yeah, I got to look at this again because I'm looking at the projection systems I'm looking at, like, have all these guys great plays. So I'm just going to tell you that. Like Wood, Henson, Rose, I mean, they all look really, really good as far as projection models go. And Phoenix, as I just said, Ayton and Booker both look really, really strong. They priced Rubio up a little bit. And again, we're on a little different pages with Rubio. I wouldn't get to him. Saric, what happened to him? Oh, he ended up starting, but not really doing that well the other day, right? And they priced him up to 4,800, so he's not a play for me. Ooh, you want to lose a 10-game slate with Aaron Baines at 3K?
No.
Okay, just checking.
Aaron Baines, what? Oh yeah, he's gonna play, huh?
Yeah, just checking.
Has he got like a 10-minute limit?
I don't know.
That's the only problem. I mean, I don't know. Like, I don't really see why they would play him like out of the blue, but. Yeah, I'm never going to go there for me unless.
Yeah, that's fine. I'm just kind of screwing around.
Yeah.
But okay, so what do you think of all this stuff? I mean, you like this is good chalk, all this?
I think Saric is still in play.
Okay, that's interesting.
That's weird, but like just the minutes, I'm interested in still. I think Ayton is a terrific play, but like not. You know, again, these ownerships do make it a little harder, and again, I like Booker a lot, but it's just they're going to be chalky. That's just all you have to know. We did talk about a lot of other pivots if you want to go different directions, but it does feel a little bit right what you're saying. Like I don't really want to make my whole tournament day about this game stack, but I also like Christian Wood. I have less interest in Rose just because the minutes have been cut a little bit. I don't really feel like that 30 plus is like even a ceiling, like even going to happen anymore. But he's still get there.
Yeah, it was bad. You know, the other day. I played him in a really low-owned spot. Where was he against? Maybe Denver or something like that. And he got like 30 fantasy points through like up the half or something like that. Mm-hmm. And I really thought that he was going to – and they just didn't play him. They really have some either unspoken or hard cap minutes of him. Like they are just not going to play him.
No, they just don't care. They have no what is their motivation at this point? Like – it's really hard to put.
I don't know, a professional basketball team. They want to put out a good product.
But like, it's not like I mean, it's not like Langston Galloway. They just got Brandon Knight back, so they're going to give him minutes. That's what's happening. Spee's been good for them. They actually have a young guy they can count on. It's not like all because they're trying. It's not like they're trying to protect him or anything like that. They're or even trying to lose games. They just don't have any motivation to play him.
I just thought because he was the best player on the court and they were close to Denver. I don't know.
Maybe I don't. I mean, I
whatever it is, I just
only at home would I ever look at stuff like that. And I don't know if they were at home last time, but they definitely aren't at home tonight. So it does worry me with him. Like he's going to be a guy I expect the rest of the season probably to play better at home because they might give more run to a guy to try and win some games for the home fans. That's
this was at Denver.
Yeah. Yeah. So obviously all those plays are fine. We'll go through the ownership projections. I mean, my ownership's at the end, but it's there's a lot on this slate and not a lot to feel like okay, I'm planting my flag here. At first glance, for sure.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess I gotta look again. I guess because as I was going through this, I was getting kind of pumped to play the Sacramento Memphis thing. I was getting pumped to play Giannis. I was getting pumped to play Luka and Butler in the same lineup. I was getting pumped to do a little deal with some Utahs, and now I'm at the Detroit Phoenix game, and I'm like, oh man, this is really going to stop me from doing that. I mean, it's not going to stop me, obviously, but I don't know. We'll see. I guess I'm just going to lose tonight. All right, so the last game, Denver against LAC, just an awesome basketball game. And the way it's what I was going to say is I really hope this is a game that is just a cross-off, because that's always like the great ironies of DFS versus regular basketball, that sometimes you get just great matchups, great basketball games that you just from a fantasy perspective is just a freaking graveyard. And if everybody plays from both sides, I guess, in this game, that could be what ends up happening. I mean, this could end up being just a complete fantasy stalemate. You know what I mean? With both teams playing really well and both teams defending a little bit, and usage being spread around the starters, and no one beating 6x in the whole game. So Kawhi at 9,500 would be gun to my head. Ooh, maybe not. Take actually Paul George at 7,100. Boy, maybe I just changed. Maybe I have to play this. He's 7,100, isn't he?
He's also torched Denver for whatever reason. He's always torched Denver. I don't really know what the reason is for that, but he really has. He's had his best games ever against Denver.
And I would also like to say that if I'm not mistaken, I played a whole bunch of some center against the Clippers the other day, and he smashed. I forget who it was, but Ayton, I think, right? Yeah. And maybe I'm just overthinking it. Maybe Jokic is just like a lock to get 60 points here.
Well, remember that Jokic is the reason why no one's playing him, and it's because they're smart. Everybody's caught on to the same thing with Jokic. Basically, he's not the same when these guys are all back. Like he was averaging 60-plus fantasy points for over a month without these guys. And now you've got Millsap back, and he's doing some things. Barton's back. Murray's back. It's just a lot of guys. And then even Michael Porter Jr. is back, by the way.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, he's a guy I would look at for value. I think that Paul George and Jokic, though, running back and forth is a great way to go, just because the ownership and the potential upside. I think if Paul George doesn't get ownership, I think we got to play him in these spots. Here's the thing about this game, too. Now, while the Clippers don't care about winning games, they make that pretty clear by just resting people every other night. This is the game you think they would want to win. Other than the Lakers, this is probably the next biggest game for them, because you're still fighting for the 2 seed, currently at the 3. That is a difference. You'd like to have home court advantage against this team, and even send a little message that they're going to play each other in the playoffs in the second round, all things, playing out as you would assume they do. So that's just where I'm at. I think you might get a little bit of a boost to George, maybe even to Kawhi. I don't think I'm going to play Kawhi, but I do think that Jokic and Paul George, and I know for a fact that Denver will treat this like a must-win game kind of atmosphere for them. That's how they play. I mean, I saw them do it with the Lakers. They play different with those guys. They don't mess around. Now, the Clippers, could they show up their A game and blow them out? I don't think. If it was me, actually, I would bet on Denver in this game, because I do think the Clippers put their best foot forward. I think Denver beats them.
I will say this: if they put their best foot forward, I want Paul George at 7,100.
Absolutely, I'm with you on this. I mean, I have Paul George right now and over 30% on my.
Oh my God! There it is.
Yeah, I mean, I'm into this play. I'm willing to take a chance. Like on a night we don't like love everybody.
Yeah.
You're getting a guy for 7,100 that not only could be the best point per dollar play on the slate, he could legitimately actually have like one of the top 3 or 4 scores on the slate. We just haven't, just because we haven't seen it for a while doesn't mean it's not in the realm of possibility. 7,100 is just, it's hard not to have interest. And I'm willing to take that gamble, even though the minutes have been down and all this stuff. I just think this is the spot where I expect him to get 40 plus. So I'm good with it. And then obviously there's upside on that.
I have a question.
Jokic, run it right back with Jokic, or play Porter Jr. By the way, another guy you can play here, and it's weird to say this because the minutes are so not great. But Paul Millsap has put up some huge games in very limited minutes even. And again, if you're going to put your best foot forward kind of a game, maybe it's reaching on this slate, I guess, but I just was sort of interested in him. I think Will Barton would be the guy I guess you really want more of than Millsap. Yeah. But between Barton or Jokic, I expect one of them to have a big game, or even Porter. And I expect one of Paul George or Kawhi to have a big game. It's pretty simple, pretty much simple as that.
Who do you like more, Booker or Butler?
Oh, we're missing one other play in this game. Sorry.
Yeah.
Now it's not been fun to look at most of the part lately, except for one game. But Montrezl Harrell is a phenomenal tournament play tonight. You have a team that you need to play big against in multiple positions because they'll play Millsap at the 4 or even Jeremy. Like you need to play big against them anyway. And obviously you got Jokic in the court for 34 minutes. So Montrezl Harrell should get there should be upside of that 26-minute projection for him.
For sure.
So I think that he's like a really interesting play. I don't see Marcus Morris guarding Jokic, which they've used Marcus Morris to guard some other bigs, but Jokic is not that big. Not that the kind of big you could do that with, I don't think. So I would bet on Harrell and Zubac to get beyond the court a little bit more. Even Harrell's not big enough. I mean, I'm not going to reach and say play Zubac, but just thinking about how this game plays out, I do think Harrell is a really strong tournament play. I actually really am starting to like this more than I think about it. Maybe this is what we do. Maybe we play this late game.
Does he start nowadays, Harrell, or no?
No, he never starts. I don't think he's ever started, like, really. That's not his job, though. He comes off the bench, which is even better. It makes it even better because him and Lou Williams with the screen and roll are like it's poetry.
Yeah, I think the poetry is going to be starting to fade away. I think that Lou Williams is going to be Mr. 25 minutes or less for like a while now. I don't know.
No. I'm not saying we play Lou Williams. I'm just saying that.
I'm just saying in general.
The Clippers haven't figured it out yet at all, and they still are winning games somehow.
Well, they're sick.
They're sick, but they don't do anything. They never play well. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, we didn't mention Patrick Beverley also completely in play at 4.1. Another best foot forward game type of guy. So, certainly something right there.
Who do you like more, Booker or Butler?
Good question. I think I would go Butler at slightly lower ownership, and I think I like Butler a little bit. It's pretty close.
Well, I would say the reason why I was getting at that is I would like Butler if for no other reason that I just know that I could, if I felt like it, I could play Luka on the other side. Where if I played,
right,
I don't know why I'm not so convinced about Christian Wood at this price or on Henson.
Yeah, I like Wood fine. I really do. I think he's got 40 on him most of the time here, so I'm good with him.
All right. I think it's gonna be a good one. I really like this slate. I really, really do.
It's a tough one, which I like, but I know that one big thing is going to happen and it's going to throw everything off. Which sort of
Trey's really going to be ruled out or something, or somebody stupid like that.
Something, man. I just got a feeling. One thing I really think is important to keep an eye on. I love Taurean Prince tonight, but I will love him a little bit less if Wilson Chandler is in. If Wilson Chandler is out, Taurean Prince is going to be in more than half my lineups.
Really?
It's 22 minutes, and so it'll take Prince to the 34-minute area with potential for upside on that against his former team. Like at 4.7, it's hard not to play him. As of right now, I've got him as my highest owned player.
I mean, because the projections I was looking at are presuming that Chandler is in. So,
right. But even still, I like him. I just don't like him quite as much.
Yeah. I don't think he's going to be that highly owned either.
Yeah, I think we sort of found a little something potentially on this last game. Those competitive games that also Jokic does well, and like he's not the guy you want in the track meets. He's the guy you want in these slow down games. You know what I mean?
Right.
It just feels like a good spot for him to have who's going to match up with him? The Clippers have been getting just torched by big men. It feels weird to see a guy as good as Jokic at like 2% ownership. And it's not like they're asking you to break the bank for him either. Like you could play him with one of these other studs. The problem is I really want to play Trey and I really want to play Luka. So it's kind of tricky. In looking at this, just kind of eyeballing this, I really don't think that I'm going to get a lot of exposure to these early games at all. I really don't. I don't think I'm going to get, I don't think I'm going to get a player. I mean, it depends how many lineups you play, but I don't think I'm going to get anybody from the Minnesota, Orlando, or nobody
Charlotte.
From Atlanta, Brooklyn?
No, but the first two because all these others, literally all these others, like Brooklyn, Atlanta, you can do the Trey stuff with the Brooklyns, and Dallas, Miami, we talked about with the Butler and the thing, and I like Giannis in the Milwaukee game. We talked about the possibility of stacking Cleveland, New Orleans, and Sacramento, and then the Beal thing, and then the Chalky, and then the Detroit Phoenix, and then I just don't think those first two games should make any of my lineups. I think it's almost irresponsible.
I hear you. All right, I'm going to go through my ownerships real quick, and they're a little more spread out. Again, it's earlier in the day, and I'm still expecting some news to hit, but I've got Taurean Prince slightly as my highest owned player, actually at the moment, and followed by of guys who I have in the same range: Booker, Luka, Butler, Paul George, Serge Ibaka, Jokic, and then the next tier would be Conley, Christian Wood, Brandon Ingram, Harrell, DeAndre Ayton, Trae Young, Zion, Bradley Beal, Gobert.
Well, I'm gonna leave you guys with this, especially on a slate like this, where you could make cases for different guys. I repeat this a lot, just to not fall in love with a player and really not fall in love with the play and really let ownership sometimes drive you where you want to go. It's like there people have been kind of watching the stock market a lot this week because, you know, it's been being very volatile. And so it reminds me of, you know, the old movie Wall Street, like someone said, I forget the exact term, the exact quote, but it's something like, I love it. It's at 80. It's an insult at 83. You know what I mean? Like, you know, everything is relative to the different metrics that you're trying to incorporate. So just because you happen to let's say, well, I really don't like Trae, you know what I mean? But if he's going to be 5%, you could just love him. You know what I mean?
Right.
And that maybe Trae's in maybe a bad example, but you really have to have your mind open to the way ownership can just should drive you to decisions sometimes.
Yeah, and I also want to. I'll expand on that just for one quick second. I also wouldn't let price dictate as much when you're playing tournaments. We don't talk about this quite as much, but we talk a lot more in relation to ownership. But just the more I look at it, like thinking back to like LeVert and how I think maybe I was quick to brush him off a little bit at 83. But the truth is, if he has a big game for this matchup, like he just did against a very similar type of team in Washington, he's going to get there. He's going to crush. Or he can crush, let's put it that way. So don't worry too much about the $700, $600 differences on these size slates, because you're really needing guys who are going to hammer it out for you. You want guys who are going to be winning it all for you. I wouldn't let price dictate your behavior too much. Like a good example, and maybe it's a wrong matchup, but like Kyle Lowry will get ownership, you know, when he's 7K or 7,200, what he is today on FanDuel, and he's 81 on Draftkings. So he literally won't even have 0.5% ownership. You know, overall, like if it was a matchup that I liked him, I wouldn't let that really affect me, because it doesn't even that $900 difference is not worth enough for me just to let him go. You know what I mean? I just think you're looking for the ceiling game anyway. So don't worry if a guy's 9,500 or 10-2. They really are the same type of thing.
All right.
So guys, thanks for tuning in. Please like and subscribe. We will be back to you with the FanDuel video again. Join me 4 Eastern time for the BetQL show on QL TV. For Sheets, I'm BobbyFi. We're saying we will see you at the top of the leaderboards.